If you don't pay by tonight, you're out on the street. Both of you. The landlord's voice cut through the thin walls of their office in Itaewon like a knife. Amara pressed her palm against the door, her heart pounding as she listened to his footsteps fade down the hallway. Behind her, Kwame coughed again, that terrible wet sound that had been getting worse for weeks. She turned to look at her younger brother curled up on the thin mattress, his dark skin glistening with fever sweat. Nuna, he whispered, using the Korean word for older sister that he'd picked up since they'd moved to Seoul 2 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't. Amara crossed the tiny room in 3 steps and knelt beside him, pressing her hand to his burning forehead. Don't you dare apologize. We're going to be fine. I promise. But as she counted the crumpled $1 in her pocket for the 3rd time that evening, the numbers refused to change. 60,001. The medicine alone cost 80,000, and the rent was 200,000. She'd been working double shifts at the African restaurant in Itaewon and cleaning offices at night, but it was never enough. It was never, ever enough. The rain hammered against the single window as Amara pulled on her worn jacket. I'm going to the convenience store. There might be some discount bentos left. It's pouring, Kwame protested weakly. I've walked in worse. She managed a smile she didn't feel. Lock the door behind me. The streets of Itaewon were slick with rain, neon signs reflecting in the puddles like fractured rainbows. Amara kept her head down, dodging the umbrellas of passers-by who never seemed to see her. 2 years in Seoul, and sometimes she still felt invisible. She was cutting through a side alley when she saw her. An elderly Korean woman lay crumpled in the rain, her expensive hanbok soaked through, one hand stretched out as if reaching for help. People were walking past her. Actually walking past her, their umbrellas tilted against the rain, their eyes carefully averted. Amara's feet moved before her mind caught up. Halmiani. She dropped to her knees in the puddle, ignoring the cold water that soaked through her jeans. The woman's eyes fluttered open, glazed and unfocused. Halmiani, can you hear me? The woman's lips moved, but no sound came out. Amara looked up at the passing pedestrians. Please. Someone help. Call 119. But they kept walking. Every single one of them kept walking. Fine. Amara gritted her teeth and slid her arms under the woman's shoulders. She couldn't have weighed more than 45 kilograms, but Amara's arms trembled with exhaustion as she lifted her. I've got you. I've got you. The journey back to her office felt like it took hours. The woman drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling in Korean that Amara couldn't fully understand. By the time she kicked open her door, Amara's lungs were burning and her vision was spotted with black dots. Nuna. Kwame tried to sit up. What? Get the blankets. All of them. Amara laid the woman on her own sleeping mat, the only one that wasn't threadbare. She peeled off the wet hanbok with shaking hands, wrapping the woman in every piece of fabric they owned. For the next 3 hours, Amara worked. She made rice porridge from their last cup of rice. She wiped the woman's face with warm water. She held her head as she fed her small spoonfuls, patient and gentle, the way her own mother had cared for strangers back home. Why are you helping me? The woman's voice was barely a whisper, but her eyes were clearer now. She spoke in halting English, perhaps noticing Amara's struggle with Korean. You don't even know me. Amara smiled, exhausted. Someone once helped me when I needed it. I'm just passing it on. The woman's wrinkled hand reached up, surprisingly strong, and gripped Amara's wrist. What is your name, child? Amara. Amara. The woman repeated it like a prayer. Thank you, Amara. When Amara woke the next morning, the woman was gone. In her place was a golden pendant on a silk cord, gleaming in the weak sunlight filtering through their window. Beside it was a note in careful Korean characters. Kwame read it aloud, his voice wondering. Kindness is never forgotten. Amara picked up the pendant, and her breath caught. It was heavy, real gold, with an intricate family crest carved into its surface. This was worth. She couldn't even imagine how much this was worth. Nuna. Kwame's voice was urgent. This could pay for my medicine. This could pay rent for months. Amara closed her fist around the pendant, feeling its edges press into her palm. Could she? Should she? The woman had left it for her, but a knock at the door made them both freeze. I said tonight, the landlord's voice boomed. It's morning. Where's my money? Amara looked at the pendant in her hand, then at her brother's fever-bright eyes, then at the door. Her decision crystallized in that moment, sharp and clear and absolutely terrifying. I have it, she called out. Just give me 1 hour. If you're enjoying this story of kindness across cultures, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Let's grow this community together. 30 minutes later, Amara stood in a jewelry shop in Dongdaemun, the pendant clutched in her sweating palm. The elderly shopkeeper's eyes widened when she placed it on the counter. Where did you get this? His voice was sharp, suspicious. I found it. I helped someone, and they left it for me. Amara's Korean was rough, but she pushed the words out. I need to sell it. The shopkeeper picked up the pendant, turning it over in his hands. His face went pale. Wait here. He disappeared into the back room. Amara's stomach dropped. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. She was reaching for the pendant when 2 men in suits walked through the door. Miss Amara, one of them said in perfect English. We need you to come with us. What? No, The pendant you're trying to sell belongs to the Park family, one of the most powerful families in Seoul. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Park Min-Seo has been missing for 3 days. That pendant never leaves her neck. So you're going to need to explain exactly how you got it. The car that took Amara away was more expensive than anything she'd ever been inside. Black leather seats, tinted windows, and a silence so thick she could hear her own heartbeat thundering in her ears. She tried to explain, her words tumbling over each other in broken Korean and desperate English, but the men in suits just stared straight ahead, their faces carved from stone. I helped her, Amara said again, her voice cracking. She was lying in the rain. Everyone just walked past her, but I couldn't. I took her home, I fed her, I took care of her. She left the pendant as a thank you. I swear I didn't steal it. That's what they all say, one of the men muttered. Amara's hands trembled in her lap. What about Kwame? He was alone, sick, waiting for her to come back with medicine. What if the landlord came while she was gone? What if? The car pulled up to a building that seemed to scrape the sky itself. Glass and steel gleaming in the afternoon sun, with the words, Park Global Enterprises, etched in both Korean and English across the entrance. Amara's stomach twisted. She'd walked past this building before, had stared up at it like everyone else in Seoul, never imagining she'd be dragged inside like a criminal. They led her through a lobby that looked like it belonged in a palace. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, security guards everywhere. People in designer suits glanced at her as they passed, their eyes sliding over her stained jacket and worn sneakers with thinly veiled disgust. Amara kept her head up, even as shame burned hot in her chest. The elevator ride to the top floor felt like ascending into another world. When the doors opened, a young Korean woman in an elegant pantsuit was waiting. Her expression was carefully neutral, but Amara saw the flicker of curiosity in her eyes. This way, the woman said in English, her accent American. Mr. Park is waiting. They walked down a hallway lined with modern art that probably cost more than Amara would make in a lifetime. At the end was a door of dark wood, and beyond it, an office that commanded a view of all of Seoul. And standing at the window, silhouetted against the city, was Park Ji-Hoon. He turned, and Amara's breath caught despite everything. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe 30, with sharp features and eyes that could have been carved from ice. His suit was perfectly tailored, his hair styled with casual precision, and when he looked at her, Amara felt like a bug under a microscope. So, he said in Korean, then switched to flawless English when he saw her confusion. You're the girl who tried to sell my mother's pendant. I didn't try to sell it, Amara started, but he held up one hand. My mother has been missing for 3 days. 3 days of searching, of police reports, of fearing the worst. His voice was controlled, but Amara could hear the fury underneath. Her car was found abandoned near Itaewon. And now you show up with the one piece of jewelry she never takes off, spinning some story about helping her. It's not a story, Amara said, forcing herself to meet his eyes. It's the truth. The truth. Ji-Hoon laughed, but there was no humor in it. Do you know how many people have tried to scam my family? How many fake stories I've heard? Everyone wants something from the Parks. I don't want anything from you, Amara said, her own anger rising now. I just wanted to help my brother. Your mother left that pendant for me. She was dying in the rain, and I saved her. Then where is she? Ji-Hoon moved closer, and Amara could smell his expensive cologne, could see the fine lines of stress around his eyes. If you really helped her, where is she now? I don't know. When I woke up, she was gone. How convenient. Mr. Park. The woman in the pantsuit, his assistant, stepped forward. Perhaps we should check the hospitals again. If someone brought her in. No, Ji-Hoon's eyes never left Amara's face. Not until we get the truth. Yuna, call legal. I want every camera in Itaewon pulled. I want this girl's background checked. I'm telling you the truth. Amara's voice broke, and she hated herself for it. Your mother was unconscious in the rain. I brought her to my home. I have a brother, he's sick, he saw her. I fed her, I took care of her all night. In the morning she was gone, and the pendant was there with a note. That's everything. That's the truth. Ji-Hoon stared at her for a long moment, and something flickered in his expression. Doubt. Hope. But then his jaw hardened again. If you're lying, he said softly, dangerously, I will make sure you regret ever coming to Korea. Do you understand? Amara lifted her chin. I understand that you're scared for your mother. I understand that you don't trust me. But I also understand that I did nothing wrong, and you're treating me like a criminal because I'm poor and African, and you think that means I must be lying. The silence that followed was deafening. Yuna's eyes widened. One of the suited men shifted uncomfortably. Ji-Hoon's expression was unreadable. You'll stay in the guest house on my family's estate until this is resolved. You'll be under guard. You'll answer every question we have. And if I find out you've hurt my mother in any way. I saved her life, Amara said, exhausted now. But you'll never believe that, will you? Because good people don't look like me in your world. Something in Ji-Hoon's face cracked, just for a moment, but he turned away before Amara could read it. Take her to Pyeongchang-dong, he said to his men. And somebody find my mother. As they led Amara away, she looked back once. Ji-Hoon was standing at his window again, staring out at Seoul, his shoulders rigid with tension. And for just a second, Amara felt sorry for him. Sorry that his wealth and power couldn't bring his mother home. Sorry that he'd forgotten how to trust. But mostly she thought of Kwame, alone and sick, wondering where she was. And she prayed that somehow, someway, the truth would set her free. The guest house was bigger than any place Amara had ever lived. Traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern luxury, all sliding doors and heated floors and windows that looked out onto gardens that seemed to go on forever. Under any other circumstances, it would have been beautiful. But Amara couldn't stop thinking about her brother. Please, Amara begged the guard stationed outside her door. My brother is sick. He's alone. I need to call him, I need to know he's okay. The guard's face remained impassive. Mr. Park's orders. No contact until the investigation is complete. Amara pressed her forehead against the doorframe, fighting back tears. She'd never felt so helpless, so trapped. In her mind, she kept seeing Kwame's fever-bright eyes, hearing his labored breathing. What if he got worse? What if he needed her and she wasn't there? Miss Amara? A soft voice made her turn. Yuna stood in the hallway, holding a tray of food. I brought you dinner. May I come in? Amara stepped aside wordlessly. What choice did she have? Yuna set the tray down on the low table, then closed the door. I also brought this. She pulled out a cell phone. 5 minutes. That's all I can give you. Amara's hands shook as she grabbed the phone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kwame answered on the first ring. Nuna. Nuna, where are you? I've been so worried. I'm okay, I'm safe. Amara's voice broke. How are you feeling? Did you take the medicine from under the sink? There's no medicine, Nuna. And the landlord came. He took our things. He said we have one more day, and then, Kwame coughed, that terrible sound that made Amara's heart clench. Listen to me. Amara forced strength into her voice. Go to Mrs. Kim's restaurant. Tell her I sent you. She'll give you food and a place to stay tonight. I'm going to fix this, okay? I promise I'm going to fix this. What happened? Where are you? I can't explain now. Just trust me. Go to Mrs. Kim's. I love you. I love you too, Nuna. Yuna took the phone back gently. Your brother. Amara nodded, unable to speak around the lump in her throat. For what it's worth, Yuna said quietly, I believe you. About helping Madam Park. Ji-Hoon is just. He's been different since his father died. He doesn't trust easily anymore. He doesn't trust at all, Amara said bitterly. Maybe. Yuna moved toward the door, then paused. But he's not a bad person. He's just scared. His mother is all he has left. After Yuna left, Amara couldn't eat. She paced the beautiful room like a caged animal, her mind racing. How long would they keep her here? What if they never found Min-Seo? What if they blamed Amara for something she didn't do? She was staring out at the darkening gardens when she heard the door open. Ji-Hoon stood in the doorway, still in his suit but with his tie loosened and his hair slightly disheveled. He looked exhausted. We checked the hospitals, he said without preamble. Nothing. We pulled security footage from Itaewon. The cameras in your area were down that night because of the storm. So you still think I'm lying? I don't know what to think. He stepped into the room, and Amara was struck again by his presence, the way he seemed to fill the space. Tell me again. Everything that happened. Don't leave anything out. So Amara told him. About walking in the rain. About finding his mother collapsed in the alley. About how no one stopped to help, how they all just walked past like she was invisible. She told him about carrying Min-Seo home, about feeding her rice porridge, about the way his mother had gripped her wrist and asked her name. She spoke to you? Ji-Hoon's voice was sharp. Yes. She asked why I was helping her. I told her someone once helped me, and I was passing it on. Amara met his eyes. She thanked me. She said my name. And in the morning, she was gone. Ji-Hoon was quiet for a long moment. My mother has a scar. On her left shoulder. From a car accident when I was a child. Did you see it? Amara closed her eyes, remembering. Yes. Shaped like a crescent moon. She heard Ji-Hoon's sharp intake of breath. No one knows about that scar. We've kept it private. The press doesn't know. Even most of our staff doesn't know. I'm not lying, Amara whispered. When she opened her eyes, Ji-Hoon was staring at her with an expression she couldn't read. Something had shifted in his face, a crack in the ice. I want to believe you, he said, so quietly she almost didn't hear it. God, I want to believe you. Then believe me. He moved closer, and Amara's heart started racing. He was looking at her differently now, really seeing her for the first time. Not as a suspect or a scammer, but as a person. As someone who might be telling the truth. If you really helped my mother, Ji-Hoon said, his voice rough with emotion. If you really saved her when everyone else just walked past. I don't know how I could ever repay that. I don't want repayment. I want to go home to my brother. Your brother who's sick. Yes. The one you were trying to buy medicine for when you went to sell the pendant. Amara nodded, surprised he knew that. Ji-Hoon pulled out his phone. Yuna, get me the address of an Amara's brother. Yes, now. And send a car to pick him up. Take him to Samsung Medical Center. I want the best doctors we have examining him tonight. Cost is not an issue. What are you doing? Amara asked. He looked at her, and for the first time, she saw warmth in those dark eyes. Choosing to believe you. Choosing to trust that not everyone in this world is trying to take something from me. He paused. Choosing to believe in kindness. I could still be lying. You could be. A ghost of a smile crossed his lips. But my mother always told me that good people exist, even when it's hard to see them. Even when the world makes you cynical. Maybe you're one of them. Amara felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If you're lying. I'm not. Then we'll find my mother. Together. He held out his hand. Deal. Amara stared at his outstretched hand, this powerful man who an hour ago had looked at her like she was dirt, now offering partnership. Trust. She took his hand, felt the warmth of his skin, the strength in his grip. Deal. Neither of them let go right away. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither could name. Then Ji-Hoon's phone rang, shattering the spell. Yes. He listened, and the color drained from his face. Which hospital? We're on our way. He looked at Amara, and she saw hope and fear warring in his expression. They found her. The drive to Asen Medical Center was a blur of city lights and Ji-Hoon's tense silence. Amara sat beside him in the back of his car, acutely aware of every breath he took, every time his knee bounced with anxiety. His hand rested on the seat between them, close enough to touch but infinitely far away. She's stable, he said suddenly, as if reminding himself. They said she's stable and awake. That's good, Amara said softly. That's really good. He turned to look at her, and in the dim light of the car, his expression was vulnerable in a way she hadn't seen before. What if she doesn't remember you? What if? Then you'll know I was lying, and you can do whatever you want with me. Amara tried to smile. But she'll remember. I know she will. When they rushed into the hospital room, Min-Seo was sitting up in bed, looking frail but alert. Her eyes lit up when she saw Ji-Hoon, and he rushed to her side, dropping to his knees beside her bed and gripping her hand like a lifeline. Ioma, he whispered, his voice breaking. Ioma, I was so scared. My son. Min-Seo stroked his hair with her free hand. I'm sorry I worried you. They spoke in rapid Korean, words tumbling over each other, and Amara stood back, feeling like an intruder on this private moment. She started to slip toward the door when Min-Seo's voice stopped her. Wait. Min-Seo switched to English, her eyes finding Amara's. You. I know you. Ji-Hoon's head whipped around. Ioma. The girl who saved me. Min-Seo's face broke into a radiant smile. Amara. Come here, child. Amara's legs felt like water as she walked to the bed. Min-Seo reached out and took her hand, squeezing it with surprising strength. I was lost, Min-Seo said, tears streaming down her face. I got confused, wandered away from my car. I have early dementia, you see. Sometimes I forget where I am. I fell in the rain, and everyone just walked past me, like I was nothing. But you stopped. You carried me. You fed me. You cared for me like I was your own family. Anyone would have done the same, Amara said quietly. No, Min-Seo shook her head firmly. No, they wouldn't. I lay there for 30 minutes before you came. 30 minutes while people stepped around me like I was garbage. She looked at her son. This girl saved my life, Ji-Hoon. She had nothing, and she gave me everything. Ji-Hoon's eyes found Amara's across his mother's hospital bed, and the look in them made her breath catch. Regret. Gratitude. And something else, something that made her heart skip. I know, he said hoarsely. I know she did. The next week passed in a strange dream. Min-Seo insisted that Amara stay at the estate, not as a guest but as family. Kwame was given his own room after being treated at Samsung Medical Center, his medication fully covered, his health rapidly improving. The best doctors in Seoul examined him and created a treatment plan that actually worked. Amara found herself living in a world she'd only glimpsed from the outside. Morning tea in the garden with Min-Seo, who taught her Korean phrases and laughed at her pronunciation. Dinners where Ji-Hoon would come home late from work and find them cooking together, his expression softening in ways that made Amara's stomach flutter. You're good for her, Yuna told Amara one afternoon. I've never seen Madam Park this happy. And Ji-Hoon. He's different around you. Different how? Amara asked, trying to sound casual. Yuna smiled knowingly. Like he's remembering how to be human again. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She wandered out to the garden, drawn by the moonlight on the pond. She didn't hear Ji-Hoon approach until he spoke. Couldn't sleep either? She turned to find him standing a few feet away, dressed in casual clothes instead of his usual suit. He looked younger like this, more approachable. Too much on my mind, she admitted. Me too. He moved to stand beside her, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. I've been thinking about what you said. About how I treated you. About assumptions and prejudice. Ji-Hoon. Let me finish. He turned to face her fully. I was wrong. Not just wrong but cruel. I looked at you and saw what I expected to see instead of who you really are. And you. His voice dropped. You saved my mother. You showed kindness when you had every reason not to. You're extraordinary, Amara. Her heart was racing now. I'm not extraordinary. I'm just. You are. He reached up, his fingers brushing her cheek so gently she might have imagined it. You're brave and kind and beautiful, and I've been an absolute fool. Ji-Hoon. His name was a whisper on her lips. I know this is complicated, he said, his eyes searching hers. I know we're from different worlds. I know there will be people who judge us, who say terrible things. But I can't stop thinking about you. I can't stop wanting to know everything about you. Your favorite food. The music you love. How you take your coffee. What makes you laugh. I don't drink coffee, Amara said, breathless. I prefer tea. He smiled, and it transformed his entire face. See. That's exactly the kind of thing I need to know. What are you saying? I'm saying that you changed everything. You walked into my life and reminded me what really matters. Not money or power or status, but kindness. Connection. Being brave enough to help someone even when it costs you everything. He stepped closer. I'm saying that I'm falling for you, Amara. And it terrifies me. It terrifies me too, she whispered. But you're brave. His hand cupped her face now, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. You're the bravest person I know. Ji-Hoon, if we do this, then we do it together. His forehead touched hers. No more running. No more hiding. Just us, figuring it out one day at a time. Amara's eyes fluttered closed. The media will tear us apart. Let them try. His breath was warm against her lips. I've faced hostile takeovers and corporate espionage. I think I can handle some gossip blogs. She laughed, and the sound was bright and free. You're ridiculous. I'm in love with you. The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Amara opened her eyes to find him staring at her with such raw honesty that it stole her breath. It's too soon, she said, but her hands were already moving to his chest, feeling his heartbeat thunder beneath her palms. I know. His lips were inches from hers now. But it's still true. When he kissed her, it was gentle at first, questioning. But when Amara kissed him back, when her arms wound around his neck and she pressed closer, It deepened into something fierce and desperate and absolutely right. He tasted like possibility and promise, like every good thing she'd been afraid to hope for. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ji-Hoon rested his forehead against hers again. "Stay," he whispered. "Not just tonight. Stay. Build a life here. With me. What about Kwame? He stays too. This is your home now. Both of you." He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "I want to wake up every morning knowing you're here. I want to take you to your favorite places and introduce you to everyone as mine. I want everything," Amara finished for him. "You want everything." "Yes." His eyes blazed with intensity. "Is that too much to ask?" She thought about her tiny office-tel in Itaewon, about scraping by on double shifts and counting $1 in the dark. She thought about the woman lying in the rain, about the choice to stop when everyone else kept walking. She thought about kindness finding its way home. "No," she said, smiling through sudden tears. "It's not too much. It's exactly right." He kissed her again, slower this time, savoring. And in that moment, under the Korean moon with the garden blooming around them, Amara finally understood what Min-Seo had meant. Kindness wasn't just never forgotten. It multiplied. It grew. It came back to you in ways you could never imagine. The next morning, Min-Seo found them having breakfast together in the garden, Ji-Hoon's hand covering Amara's on the table. The older woman's smile could have lit up all of Seoul. "Finally," she said in Korean, which Amara was beginning to understand. "My stubborn son finally sees what's right in front of him." The weeks that followed weren't easy. When Ji-Hoon announced their relationship at a company dinner, the whispers started immediately. The media exploded with headlines, some supportive, many cruel. Photos of Amara appeared online with vicious comments about her background, her appearance, her worthiness to be with someone like Park Ji-Hoon. One particularly brutal evening, Amara sat in the study scrolling through article after article, each one worse than the last. She didn't hear Ji-Hoon enter until his hands covered hers, gently removing the phone. "Don't," he said firmly. "Don't give them that power. They're saying I'm using you, that I planned everything, that I'm a gold digger who," her voice broke. Ji-Hoon knelt in front of her chair, taking both her hands in his. Look at me, Amara." When she met his eyes, he continued. "I don't care what they say. Not one word of it matters. You know the truth. I know the truth. My mother knows the truth. That's all that counts. But your reputation, your company, will survive. And if it doesn't, then I'll build something new. Something better." He stood, pulling her up with him. "I'm holding a press conference tomorrow. I'm telling our story. The real story. About a woman who showed kindness when no one else would. About how that kindness saved my mother's life and changed mine. About how love doesn't care about borders or bank accounts or what anyone else thinks." "Ji-Hoon, you don't have to." "Yes, I do." His arms wrapped around her, and she melted into his embrace. "Because you deserve to be defended. You deserve to have someone stand up and say, 'This woman is remarkable, and I'm lucky she chose me.' You deserve everything, Amara." The press conference was unlike anything Seoul had seen. Ji-Hoon stood at the podium, cameras flashing, and told the entire story. He showed security footage from the hospital, medical records proving his mother's condition, statements from staff who'd witnessed Amara's kindness. But more than facts and evidence, he spoke from the heart. "Amara didn't just save my mother's life," he said, his voice steady and strong. "She reminded me what it means to be human. She showed me that true wealth isn't measured in money but in compassion. And yes, I'm in love with her. Yes, we come from different worlds. But maybe that's exactly what makes this beautiful. Maybe we need more bridges between worlds. Maybe we need more kindness." The room erupted with questions, but Ji-Hoon held up his hand. "One more thing. Today, I'm announcing the creation of the Ubuntu Jong Foundation. Ubuntu is an African philosophy that means, I am because we are. Jong is the Korean concept of deep emotional connection. This foundation will help immigrant families, provide medical care to those who can't afford it, and support anyone who's fallen through the cracks of society. Because my mother fell through those cracks, and one brave woman caught her. It's time we build a society where no one has to fall alone. Public opinion began to shift. Stories emerged of other immigrants Amara had helped in Itaewon, always quietly, always expecting nothing in return. Mrs. Kim from the restaurant gave a tearful interview about how Amara would bring her leftovers to homeless people even when she was starving herself. Slowly, grudgingly, Seoul began to see what Ji-Hoon saw. 3 months later, Amara stood on stage at the Ubuntu Jong Foundation's grand opening in a renovated building in Itaewon. Her Korean had improved dramatically, and she gave her speech in both Korean and English, her voice strong and clear. When I came to Korea, I was scared, she said. I was poor. I was alone except for my brother. There were days I thought about giving up, about going home. But then I learned something important. Home isn't just a place. It's the people who see you, who value you, who choose to stop when everyone else keeps walking. She looked out at the crowd and found Ji-Hoon's eyes. He stood with Min-Seo and Kwame, her entire family now, watching her with unmistakable pride. Someone once told me that kindness is never forgotten, Amara continued. But I've learned it's more than that. Kindness multiplies. It spreads. One act of compassion can change everything, can ripple out in ways you never imagined. I helped one woman in the rain, and she gave me a family, a home, a future I never dreamed possible. She held up the golden pendant, now hanging around her neck once more, a gift from Min-Seo. This pendant was a symbol of suspicion once, of division. But now it represents something else. Hope. Connection. The belief that we can bridge any divide if we're brave enough to try. If we're kind enough to stop. The applause was thunderous. But Amara barely heard it. She was already stepping off the stage, moving toward Ji-Hoon, who met her halfway. He swept her into his arms, kissing her in front of everyone, cameras flashing like stars. I love you, he murmured against her lips. Have I mentioned that today? Only 3 times. She smiled. But I never get tired of hearing it. Good. Because I plan to say it every day for the rest of our lives. That evening, the 4 of them sat in the estate's garden, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Kwame was healthy now, talking excitedly about starting university. Min-Seo was teaching Amara to make kimchi, both of them laughing at her attempts. And Ji-Hoon sat beside Amara, his hand intertwined with hers, both of them exactly where they belonged. You know what I think, Min-Seo said suddenly, looking at Amara and Ji-Hoon with knowing eyes. I think I got lost in that rain for a reason. I think the universe knew my son needed someone to remind him how to love, how to trust, how to see beyond his own walls. Ioma, Ji-Hoon protested, but he was smiling. It's true. Min-Seo reached over and squeezed Amara's hand. Thank you for saving me, dear child. But thank you even more for saving him. As the stars began to appear in the Seoul sky, Amara thought about the long journey that had brought her here. The rain, the choice, the pendant, the fear and suspicion that had bloomed into trust and love. Every painful step had been worth it for this moment, this family, this impossible beautiful life. What are you thinking? Ji-Hoon asked softly. That kindness really does find its way home, Amara said. Even when home is somewhere you never expected. He pulled her closer, kissing her temple. Especially then. And in the garden of their Seoul home, surrounded by the people who had become her family, Amara finally understood the deepest truth. That love and kindness know no borders, that courage means stopping when others walk past, and that sometimes the most extraordinary journeys begin with the simplest choice to care. The Ubuntu Jong Foundation would go on to help thousands. Amara and Ji-Hoon's love story would inspire countless others to bridge cultural divides. But in that moment, None of that mattered. What mattered was this: 4 people who had found each other against all odds, building a family not from blood but from choice, not from obligation but from love. Kindness is never wasted. It always finds its way home. If this story touched your heart, please hit that subscribe button and join our community. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Remember, one act of kindness can change everything. Be the person who stops when others walk past. Be the bridge between worlds. Be brave enough to love across any divide. Until next time, keep spreading kindness. It always comes back.